to you from FPA at Shannon Forest, Studio Ignite. This is Crusader Network News.
Good morning, Crusaders. I'm Finn.
And I'm Brady. It's Thursday, February 29th, 2024. As you know, February 29th only comes around once every 4 years.
Here's Dr. Graham to share some fun and interesting facts about February 29th.
Hey FPA Lower School, happy Leap Day. Today is February 29th, and you know what? That doesn't happen every February. It's only every 4 years where we have a February 29th. So every 4 years in February, we have an additional day. And today is it. So I wanted to give you some fun Leap Day facts. People born on Leap Day are called leaplings, or sometimes leapers. So do we have anybody out there who has a birthday today? I don't think we do, but you may know somebody. Also, since leaplings only have their real birthday every 4 years, when do they celebrate their birthday? Because next year there will be no February 29th. So they typically choose to celebrate their birthdays on February 28th or the next day, which is March 1st. So if you know some leaplings, you might want to ask when they celebrate their birthdays. And another fun fact about Leap Day is during leap years, which this year is a leap year, January, April, and July all start on the same day. They all start on Mondays this year. So I hope everybody has a great Leap Day and enjoys this leap year. Have fun!
Thanks, Dr. Graham. The next time the calendar shows February 29th will be 2028. I'll be 14 years old and in the 9th grade.
And I'll be 13 years old and in the 7th grade. Wow, that's crazy to think about.
It sure is. Now here's your news from around the school. The date for our class pictures has changed. It was set for tomorrow, March 1st, but will now be Friday, March 15th. Students should wear their school uniforms that day.
Please be sure to make a note of that change of date. We will observe Read Across America Day tomorrow. Students will gather to listen to Dr. Graham read some of her favorite books.
We're all looking forward to that. Dr. Graham will also tell us about a reading challenge she has in store for us. I wonder what it will be.
I guess we'll find out. Our first grade classes will go on a field trip to the Children's Theater on Friday, March 8th. They will see the play Pinkalicious.
If it is nice that day, they will also have a picnic in the park. Looking ahead, our spring break will be March 25th through April 1st.
Now it's time for our birthdays. Here's Jordan Emerson to tell us who to celebrate this week.
Last week, we told you about some famous people with birthdays in February. In doing so, we accidentally left out a few birthdays of our friends at school. Here they are now. First grader David Heikemer and K5 friend Luke Phillips celebrated their birthdays February 23rd. Third grader Brady Deegan had a birthday February 24th. Third grader Aya Hariyama celebrated her birthday yesterday. And K5 friend Riley Johnson has a birthday tomorrow, March 1st. Happy birthday!
Thanks, Jordan. Our 5th grade classes have been studying meteorology.
That's my class.
They had a very special guest visit recently who knows a lot about that topic.
That's right. Well-known meteorologist Mr. Dale Gilbert came and spoke to the classes about the job of a meteorologist.
Mr. Gilbert was a meteorologist on WYFF4 for a number of years. He still fills in from time to time on the news. You've probably seen him if you watch that station.
Let's take a look at some of the things he had to say that day.
Back to a droplet of rain. But here comes cold air. So a droplet of rain is continuing to fall down. It used to be a snowflake, and once it changes to a droplet of rain, it can never be a snowflake again. They only form high up in the atmosphere. So on its way down, what happens if that that droplet of rain hits cold air. What could it become? Can't be a snowflake again, but it could become something else if it freezes. Could it become?
It could become hail.
Oh, now you're thinking it would become a bit of ice, but in this type situation, it's not a hailstone, it's something else. What do you think? Yes, it could become a tiny ice pellet, or sleet used to be a snowflake, then it became a raindrop, and then it refroze as a tiny bit of ice about the size of grits that we call sleet. So that's why you can either have a snowflake, but it can only happen one time, and it's got to be cold enough all the way down for it to cover the ground, or it could become rain, or it could become sleet on the way down. Sometimes it goes through all three of those things and then turns back to rain before it hits. It's crazy how that can work. Again, what does the letter H stand for? What kind of weather? Somebody?
High pressure.
High pressure, very good. And what does the letter L stand for?
Low pressure.
Low pressure, okay. Which one is going to produce rain, the highs or the lows?
Low pressure.
That's right, low pressure. Think of it this way, but that's how strong tornadoes can be and how fast they can move. So that's probably the scariest storms to report, because by the time there's been a report of it touching ground, now it's on the move and it's flying. 35 to 50 miles an hour is like how fast you drive when you're going to school in the morning. And that's how this is a giant storm roaring across the countryside at that speed. So, yeah, those are the scariest ones, because we want to hopefully tell people it's coming and give them a chance to get out of the way or get to that safe place. Remember, it's always downstairs, never upstairs, and always an interior room. Smaller is bigger than better. So a bathroom, laundry room, something like that can be your best bet. They'll typically kind of go in a certain direction, but think of a spinning top. You know, it'll just kind of bounce all around, and that's how the path of some of these tornadoes can be, going across the countryside. Bet you.
What was the first year you were reporting on the weather?
I'd have to go back and look at my calendars. I basically did it all told about 30 years altogether. So if you go back, and I retired 2 years ago, I still fill in every once in a while if somebody gets sick or needs a day off. But so I did it for 30 years. You do the math. And they typically will happen in the spring and fall when there are dramatic changes in temperature. Because what that does, it fires up the biggest thunderstorm clouds are called cumulonimbus, okay? Nimbus means rain producing. Cumulo means this giant mountainous cumulus cloud, and cumulonimbus means rain producing. So when those clouds can grow high up into the atmosphere, then they can have not only severe thunderstorms associated with them, but they can also have tornadoes that develop sometimes. Not every time, but every tornado comes from a cumulonimbus cloud. And so that's what we have to kind of keep an eye on. And they develop on days when there's dramatic changes in temperature. It's been hot, all of a sudden here comes cold air. It's been cold, all of a sudden here comes hot air. And those two don't meet, and so that's what helps develop those giant cumulonimbus clouds right along the border where those two hot, cold temperature masses are competing, combating, really.
Perfect. Yep, that's good. All right, right here. 1, 2, 3. Everybody say weather.
Weather! That was pretty interesting. A big thank you to Mr. Gilbert for sharing his expertise with our 5th graders.
2 of Mr. Gilbert's daughters and some of his grandkids are part of our FPA family. Ada's in my class. Now it's time for the Guess Express game. Here's Eva Smith to show us the new container of items.
It's time for the Guess Express game. We have a new container of items for this week. In this jar are pennies. Lots and lots of pennies. It's pretty full and heavy, too. Talk with your class about the pennies and make a class guess stating how many you think are in the jar. Turn in your guess by Monday, March 4th. You can take it to the lower school office or drop it off by Miss Seller's classroom. Remember to put your class name on the guess. The class with the closest guess will get this really cool box of popsicles. Thanks for jumping on the Guess Express.
Thanks, Eva. I wonder how many pennies are in that jar.
Seems like there's a lot in there.
And the prize is popsicles. Who doesn't love popsicles?
I know what you mean. We all love to learn the history of our country. Well, our fourth graders have been studying about explorers Lewis and Clark.
Let's listen to them tell a little bit about what they had to learn.
In 1803, the United States bought the Louisiana Purchase from France for $15 million. This doubled the size of the U.S.
Thomas Jefferson believed it was so important to send an expedition to this land to explore what types of flora and fauna they could find.
Flora is the plant life of a certain region. Fauna refers to the types of animals in an area.
Lewis and Clark created journals of all they found. Our class made similar types of wilderness journals of flora and fauna discovered in the Louisiana Purchase.
Along the way, Lewis and Clark found new trade routes, formed relationships with Native Americans, and got help from Secretary as she interpreted for them and helped them learn.
I've been working on the buffalo berry, and what I learned is that it's a part of the tree, and the tree can get to 3 to 13 feet tall. I'm working on the bison, and a bison can be really big. They can be to 6 feet tall and 11 feet long. I'm working on buffalo berry, and buffalo berry is used to make Indian ice cream. It grows all around the Great Plains.
I'm working on tobacco, and it can grow 2 feet high, and you can use it for medicine.
This is the bilberry. It is 10 to 30 centimeters high. It's green in color, and it's used for making tea.
I'm working on the fox, and they look similar to dogs, and they are about 45 inches.
I'm working on a large flower candyweed, and the petals are about 3 to 4 inches long.
I am writing about a jackrabbit, and it rests in the shade during the heat of the day in the shallow depression under grass or bushes.
I'm working on a catfish, and their colors are orange.
Great job, guys. I'm looking forward to hearing more about Lewis and Clark next year. I love the journals the students made.
Me too. Throughout the year on Crusader Network News, we lift up in prayer all of our lower school teachers and students.
Here's Avery Reed with our terrific 10 for this week.
Each week on Crusader Network News, we will lift up in prayer specific students and teachers. The Bible tells us to encourage one another and build one another up. One of the ways that we can do that is through prayer. Here are our terrific 10 students and teachers for this week. 4th grader, Mary Hannah Smith. K-5 friend, Hunter Fraser. 1st grader, Winter Jackson. 5th grader, Madeline Harris. 2nd grader, Ezekiel Hall. 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Kinley. 3rd grader, Luke King. 2nd grader, Jackson Tharp. 4th grader, William Dickert. And 1st grader, Amelia Sanchez. Please post these names somewhere in your classroom to remind you who to pray for this week. We will give each of these students and teachers a special wristband like this to wear as a reminder that we are praying for them and God loves them very much.
That's our show for today. Remember to always try your best and do everything in a way that brings glory and honor to God.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Remember to recycle in your classrooms. Go Crusader!